traveling, so you won't get the benefit of his presentation. There's a couple people that I'd like to introduce. One is Ms. Richa, Dr. Richa Gupta. She is the IGCSE coordinator at OIS. Ms. Olga, I always mispronounce it. She is our IBDP coordinator, diploma coordinator, and Ms. Tiffany Goulet, who is doing double duty as the college and career counselor, and my wife will be presenting a little bit toward the end. So
it shows she's your wife, yeah.
Does it? There's this kind of weird chemistry. Okay. My voice is a little out. We just finished with the primary presentation for grades 1 through 5. And we had lots of questions, and it was a good session. So this is a little bit more relaxed. Please feel free to ask questions. Let's take a look at the agenda. Oh, okay. So we'll talk a little bit about who we are as a school and what we believe. Hi, good morning. Good afternoon. And then we'll talk about the IGCSE program at OIS, and then what lies ahead. Because I assume if you're seeking admission for grade 9, you're planning to continue through to the end of grade 12. So what comes after grade 10 is the IB diploma program plus our career and university counseling services. And then at the end, we'll talk a little bit about the admissions process. So first of all, welcome. We've been in operation for 9 years. This is our 9th year as a school. We are celebrating year 10 next year with the opening of a second campus in Mumbai, which is wonderful. Thankfully, none of your children will likely go to that school. 90% of our questions at the end of the primary session were about the new school. So, but I will share a little bit about the new campus and then we'll go on. So a little bit about who we are. We have certain things that we believe in and that we like to stress, aside from just the academics that we offer. Every morning, one of my duties is to be at the front of the building for morning arrival. And I always say that this is the best part of my day. Everything is downhill from 8 o'clock onwards, which is just a joke. But the best part of this duty is that I get to see all of the kids come in the front doors at the start of each day, from our nursery kids all the way up through grade 12. And I've never been, this is my 5th international school, and I can honestly say that I've never been at a place where kids are so happy to come to school on a daily basis. And that's something that we take a lot of pride in, that it's, yes, the grade 11 and 12 kids are typically really sleepy. Some of them are kind of moody on a daily basis, but to watch those kids in the early years come running into school, the parents say that they're actually disappointed on the weekends when they wake up on a Saturday and they can't come to school on the weekend. It's just that kind of place where we take a great deal of pride and put a great deal of effort into being a happy school, where kids have a wonderful experience, where adults are engaged in working with kids. We believe that in making it a warm place. My own opinion is that a lot of what happens in the classrooms and in the educational spaces is based on the relationship between kids and their teachers. And there's a particular saying that in 20 years' time, kids will not be able to tell you what it was that they studied in a particular class, but the things that they do remember, one of them is that they will remember how that teacher in that classroom made them feel. And so a lot of it, again, in my opinion, is based on the relationships that we create. We really believe in having fun, and one of our core values is celebration. So we celebrate events no matter how big or small, and accomplishments no matter how big or small they are. We also believe in family. There's a disclaimer here. This is my son. He's just shy of our son. He's just shy of 2 years, and he's not an OIS student yet, but he will be. And that photo was taken at school, so I figure I can put him up there. Family is really important to us, and we are not the kind of school where the parents come in the morning and we stop them at the door and say, thank you, we'll take them, you can go now, we can handle it from here. We don't believe that at all. We know that the best scenario is where we have a partnership with parents, that we know more about education than the parents do, but you guys know more about your kid than we'll ever know. And so that means that it's absolutely imperative that we work together if we're going to do the best that we can for these kids. So we welcome parents in the school. We just finished with our twice annual parent-teacher meetings. We had well over 90% attendance from parents, which again, in my experience, is not anything that I've ever seen a school approach. It's just the kind of place where we welcome parents in. Parents are happy to come in. I think our best days are those days where we have the parents come in and meet with teachers. Because I think they come out of those days and they say, this is why we chose this school. I think that's incredibly important. And we're about the future, because the kids that we educate, they are the future. And so they're your most precious resource, and we believe in handling them that way. So in sum, we're all about the kids. They're the reason why we're here. There's a lot of facts that I have to present. I kind of like seeing the numbers. I've only been here since the beginning of last year. We've been open since the 2008 school year, and you can see our enrollment has grown over that time. So there's that very fabled and legendary group of how many that started? Somewhere in the low 50s. What was it like back then? Was the building finished?
No, the building was still up, and every Diwali break, after Diwali break or Christmas break, there used to be a wall opened up. So it was like a magician coming and opening a wall for us. It unfolded in years.
Yeah. So we started small, but the growth has been steady, and we currently sit at about 1,600 kids, about 1,630, I think. This is where we're at right now. Early years about 300. Primary, in the last presentation, we said that we have 4 slots open in primary, which is 4 short of capacity in the primary. And then 6 through 12, this year we're at 734 across the 7 grades. In terms of where our students come from, they represent 26 different nationalities. 80% of them are Indian, although a significant portion of those students have international experience. So they bring that international flavor into the school. And then we have an expatriate population that's about 20%. And that's up from last year, was about 15%. And we're looking at that number growing over time. There's a lot of talk about companies moving north, where the real estate is a bit cheaper. And so we're hoping to reap the benefits of a growing expat population in the area that we're in. 270 teachers. There's a lot of adults in the building. They represent 14 different nationalities, and the numbers hold relatively the same as for students. About 80% are Indian, and then the rest are expatriate. I think out of 270, we have just shy of 50 expat teachers and administrators that work in the school. And our student-teacher ratio is 5.9. So 5.9 adults are teachers for every student. Obviously, that's an average. We have that number differs depending on the division, but overall, it's a very healthy number, I think. A little bit about the facility. We love our school facility, and that's reinforced whenever we welcome visitors in, because I think it's pretty impressive, and we're quite happy with it. It's purpose-built, so it didn't start life as an office building or I don't know, a store or something like that. Sometimes you hear international schools. A lot of international schools start in homes and then later grow into a purpose-built facility. This is where we started. So we have 7 floors, but it's an 11-story building. So we have a couple of double height floors. This is one of them on the first floor. The 4th floor on the ground floor in our lobby, and then 7th floor, which is where our auditorium and gymnasium are. Out back, we have a very large athletic field. We're very lucky to have that. I'm American, so I don't know much about this, but I'm told it's a full-size cricket pitch. Right, so that should be right. Except there's a couple of obstacles. There's a palm tree out there. Just off to the side, there's a mango tree. So I understand that you have to be very careful when you're chasing balls, not to run into the tree. But it's a wonderful thing to have. We also have 2 swimming pools. One of those is a smaller pool that services the early years and lower primary. And then you might have seen it when you came off the elevator. Just out here is our 25-meter pool host competitions there. Swimming is a regular part of our PE program, so we're very lucky to have that. We moved this presentation out of the 400-seat auditorium. I think you can guess why we did that. But that's where we would be if the numbers were higher. It's a wonderful venue. We use it for assemblies and large parent meetings and musical and drama productions. So it's a great facility as well. And then finally, we have a multi-purpose hall just off of the auditorium on the 7th floor that functions as a flexible space, primarily as a gymnasium though. Excuse me. Just by way of comparison, tuition-wise, we're on the low end of the spectrum. These are numbers for grade 5 from last May. Ambani's not included because they don't have an international program in grade 5, whereas the other schools do. École Mondiale is interesting. They charge you a lot more if you're an expat, but you still get the same package. For IBDP, again, these are numbers from last May. This is how we stack up against the other schools that offer the IB diploma program. So we're still on the low side. We did increase our fees for next year, so that takes this bar over to the right just a little bit. But again, we're still on the low side. We've done our best to get accurate numbers, but from what I'm told, this information is quite classified. So don't share this with anyone else. Not our information, but the other schools are very loath to give up that kind of information. This is a big deal. And probably one of the things that we're most proud of, we are fully accredited by 2 accrediting agencies, external agencies. One is CIS, which is the Council of International Schools, and then the other is a US-based accrediting agency, the New England Association of Schools and Colleges. So when you say fully accredited, it usually means that you have two agencies that certify you or accredit you. One is CIS and the other is a US-based organization. What's next? Okay. So, and it's not a common thing. So out of roughly 8,000 or so international schools around the world, only 451 or 5.5% are fully accredited. Some schools don't have any accreditation. Some schools may have just CIS, but we have both. And that's an interesting thing because what that means is when students graduate in grade 12, in addition to what they may get from IB for their completion of the diploma program, we also issue an OIS high school diploma. That diploma, because it carries that accreditation, is the equivalent of graduating from a US high school. So we have a credit system, and we'll probably talk about that in a little more detail. But what it means is, and it's not just accepted in the US, it's accepted all over the world. So that means that our kids, when they graduate, they leave here with something tangible that an external agency has said, we have seen what you do, and you do it to a standard that allows us to say, you've met these expectations and these criteria, and you've been given our stamp of approval. Even rarer still, of the 400 schools, international schools in India, only 2.5%, again, are fully accredited. None of those schools on that tuition list carry the full accreditation that we do. So that's what makes us different. One of the things that makes us different. The other external certification that we carry is from the International Baccalaureate program. We have our IBDP authorization that we initially earned in 2009 to offer the program. They came back 5 years later in 2014 and said, you're doing a great job. You do these things really well. You have some things you can improve on, and that's what we do over time. And they'll come back again in 2019. PYP, DP, we were authorized, I think the second year that we were in existence. PYP was a couple years down the road from that, 2011. They came back just last year, and they said, you have continued to meet the standard that we've set out. So they gave us a pass on our evaluation. They'll be back in 5 years' time. And then MYP is an interesting case. It doesn't really affect you guys because you're looking at grade 9. But we're gradually replacing IGCSE at OIS. So we applied to be a candidate school with IB for the middle years program, that's grades 6 through 10. We were granted that status, so last year our grade 6 students started with the first year of MYP. This year it's grade 6 and 7. Next year it's 6, 7, 8. And then by the end of 2020, we'll have MYP throughout the middle years, 6 through 10. Just one other thing about accreditation, it's a continuous thing. So it's not as if we get it and then we sit on our laurels for the rest of our existence and we don't do anything to continue looking at the way we do things and improving things. It's an ongoing process. So CIS and EASC in particular, that's really the big one where they really crack open every aspect of what we do. And it's not just curriculum and assessment and things like that. They look at, they have us run an evacuation drill. Right? They want to make sure that it's a safe facility for kids and for adults. They look at how we offer food service, how the school is managed. It's every single aspect. It's quite exhaustive and exhausting if you've ever been through one of those evaluations. So it's the kind of thing where we get it, and then we're always looking at, okay, let's refer back to that report. What can we improve on? And we work on that over time. And then they come back. And they say, okay, these are the things that we said 5 years ago that we wanted to see some improvement. Show us that you've done that. And so we do this, we're going to be doing this roughly every 5 years. So it's a big deal. Okay, the state of the brand. It's very good. So, no, I'm going to say this. We have thriving programs. We have a very healthy enrollment, as we said before. So we have a full building, a nearly full building here, and of course, we're looking at opening, we will open a second campus. Next one. One of the other things that we like to emphasize is, because we're in the process of going, and this is not to give short shrift to IGCSE, but because we're in the process of moving in the direction of becoming a 3-program IB school, we have a partnership with the IBO when it comes to professional development. And the background of this is that a couple of years ago, the IB world is divided into regions. We belong to IB Asia Pacific. And so a couple of years ago, IB made a decision to have one flagship school in each of the major countries in the Asia Pacific region that would become an IB partner school for professional development. And what that means is that these schools have a special status in terms of training teachers to offer the different programs. So in China, they looked at all the international schools and they selected Western Academy in Beijing, Yokohama in Japan, NIST in Thailand, and on. And from what I'm told, there's I think 130 some odd international schools that offer the IB program in India, and they took a look at all of them, and they made us their preferred partner. So again, another external program that's looking at us and saying, we like what you're doing in the direction that you're going in. As part of this responsibility of a partner school, in 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks, we'll welcome roughly 400 IB teachers from across India to our school for 3-day workshops on curriculum and assessment and those kinds of things. So for those 3 days, our school will sort of be at the center of the IB universe in India. And this is something that we'll do annually. So we're quite proud of that as well. Okay, OAS2. I don't know how much detail I went into. This is a mock-up of the new school, which will be located just down the road. Oh.
I think
That's it? Okay. I think I realized that it's not particularly applicable. We'll start with grades nursery through grade 4 next year, and then we'll look at expanding the school. But that's where we're headed. We've determined that, and it's going to be what we do here replicated down there. And so it's not, different people have said, well, will it be the primary campus and this will be for secondary? And we made the decision not to do that. But it's very important that all of the great things that we do here, we're also going to take with us down the road. And it's only going to be, in fact, it's going to be right across, it'll be at the opposite end of the area dairy, so not more than a few kilometers away. Okay, results. Would you like to talk about the results? All right, fine. So we don't like to talk about our results, not because we don't think they're good, it's just because we think that there's a lot more that's important to talk about the kind of work that we do with kids. But I've heard that if we don't talk about them, then maybe it seems like we're covering up. They're not as good as we think they are. But we think they're very good. These are the results for last May. Is the number right, 729
Absolutely.
papers? Okay. And so this is how the scores broke down. We think these are pretty good scores. So for IGCSE in 9 and 10, these are the results of our 10th graders last year. Over half of them got either an A or an A star on their papers. Next. For our DP results, we have a little bit more information. The full IB diploma program, take the exams at the conclusion of grade 12, so it's a 2-year program. And the highest score is 45. The minimum score in order to pass and earn an IB diploma is 24. Our kids scored an average of 33.4. Right? How does that compare? The world average is just a shade over 30. Right? So we think that we're on the right track. Our kids get good scores. It places us in the 70th percentile, and I always have to think about this before I say it. It means that the average OIS student scores better than 70% of the world average. And there's thousands upon thousands of kids that take these exams all across the world. And so that's where it places us. In terms of the pass rate, so for students who elect to do the full package, the full diploma, 96% of those kids that elect to do that here earn the diploma versus, I think, 80% worldwide. A lot of people who know about the diploma will ask immediately, well, how many students got over a 40? 12% of our students scored more than 40 points out of 45. And the next one is 42% scored over 35. So they're good numbers. We're quite happy with that. The last bit of this is, I think, more geared towards, I think, some of the intangibles of who we are. I mentioned this a little bit in the beginning when I talked about we're a fun place, we're a happy place, we believe in developing relationships. I've shared with you a lot of facts. I think this is probably the most important portion of the presentation. So in terms of what we do, we don't reduce students to an exam score. We don't reduce them to where they got to college, so we got in so we can market that to families that are interested in taking admission. We share these figures sort of reluctantly, just because we don't think we can quantify a kid in that way. What we do is we try to develop all of these things in them, and that's a lot. And it's an extremely tall order, but it doesn't mean that we're not willing to take that on. When we interact with parents who are seeking admission to early years and primary, when they see this presentation, they're on board. We believe in holistic education, right? So we insist that students take a variety of courses, that they don't fill up their schedule with science only, that they come out of our school well-rounded, that they have lots of different experiences, and we get lots of nods. That's exactly what I want for my kid. When we get to secondary, what we find, even with our existing parents, is a lot of that sort of goes out by the board. As kids start to look at university admission, then it becomes more of a numbers game. And we start focusing, our parents start focusing more on their exam scores and on their university entrance. And they forget about all of those things that make us special and all of those different things that it's important for their kid to be. Academic honesty is a big challenge for us, as I think it is for every single school in the world nowadays. We work very hard to make sure that we have conversations with kids repeatedly about the need to respect the work that's gone before them. And so we do spend a lot of time focusing on proper citation of sources and recognizing the work that others have done and being honest in their studies. And it's a huge challenge. In some cases, it's a technology game at this point. There's so much information available to them, it's very hard to resist the temptation at times. But it's something that we really believe strongly in, so we work with them quite a bit. And we always draw the attention back to this. So even though you think that these things are the overriding concerns in college entrance, we're working on all of it, right? And we're paying attention to other things that don't pop up there on first sight, like these things. And again, it's not just us that should be doing this, it's the parents as well. So building all of these qualities into them, because ultimately we're going to turn them loose into the world, as you are, and we want them to be equipped to be successful. Okay? So just a little bit more before I turn it over. In the future, our students will need to be skilled in, beyond, and across disciplines. This is the part where we talk about the kinds of kids that we turn out when we're done with them, what we hope. We want them to be highly literate and numerate, confident, creative, adaptive, and flexible learners, risk takers. That's an interesting notion because we really do encourage this. We talk a lot about how when we were all back in school, way back in the day, you generally didn't raise your hand unless you were 100% certain that you knew the answer and that you were right. And that doesn't work here. We encourage kids to take chances. And that's really important. It's a skill, actually, for them to build. We want them to be curious. We want them to be able to bend their minds in different directions, to consider, to engage in divergent thinking and looking at solutions that others perhaps haven't thought of. We want them to be self-starting, self-managing, self-evaluating, networked and collaborative. It's a networked and collaborative world. The notion that you're going to sit at a desk by yourself and not communicate with other people is sort of a thing of the past. So we know that kids have to work together, and we promote that actively in the school. We want them to be techno-savvy. And so this is what we're shooting for. This is what we believe an education at OIS does. Now, we talk about a traditional education and how it probably, out of all these things, probably only focuses on this. But obviously, we do a lot more than that. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, parents. So basically, what I will be talking about is the IGCSE program at OIS. What is it and why do we offer this curriculum? Yes, definitely we are phasing it out 2 years down the line. But yes, right now it is very important, and I think your kids will undergo this process of IGCSE. And what is it all about, and what kind of courses we offer is something I'm going to talk about, right? So starting with what is IGCSE. So as you know, it is a very academically rigorous program. Worldwide, it has been highly recognized. Even in India, it's very well recognized by the Indian schools and colleges. If you look at the school worldwide, how many schools offer this curriculum? Around 160 countries offer this kind of curriculum, which is IGCSE, catering to grade 9s and 10s. Yeah. Why do we offer this curriculum? Now, this is something like the program is very inquiry-based, quite research-based program. As you know, that it mainly focuses on the skills. So if you look at that, learning and the teaching, which happens, in the IGCSE curriculum, focuses on the skills, right? And if I look at the skills, it's not just the assessments. When we're looking at the skills, we're also talking about the assessments. So what are the assessments which are taking place at the IGCSE? They're quite skill-based assessments. So it's not just the pen and paper test, but also there are certain other coursework options where the students inquire, research, and come up with their critical thinking and problems. They use their problem-solving skills all the time. So it is very, very, focused on the skills. Apart from that, we feel that it gives a very easy progression to IBTP as well. MYP does, but I feel IGCSE also has prepared the students for the IBTP program in the school. So that's why we offer this. Looking at the Cambridge learner profile. So if you look at the attributes, confident, responsible, reflective, innovative, and engaged, as Steve has already mentioned, that OI's education centers around the main different attributes which the student should possess. So our school has already embedded these learner attributes which has been proposed by even Cambridge. So we are very proud that we have been living up to all these, preparing our students really well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now talk about how we have done is the entire academic program is being grouped into 6 groups. All right, so it has been categorized into 6 groups. So if you look at the first group is the English literature and language. The second one is group 2, that's mathematics. Group 3 is world languages. Group 4 is humanities. Group 5 is sciences. And group 6 is arts and IT. Now what happens out of these 6 groups, we have different subject offerings under each group. So if you look at what do we offer, different subjects what we offer under each group. If you look at the group 1, it's English language and literature, and we offer both the courses. So we offer literature as well as English language, and both are compulsory. A student has to appear for both the examination at the end of year 10. So they have to read both the courses. It's a compulsory component. Coming on to group 2, it's mathematics. We offer 2 curriculums here. One is maths extended, the other one is international mathematics. Yeah, the students can choose either or. Group 3, we have 3 languages options available. We have French, Spanish and Hindi. If you look at the IVDP, which Ms. Ulka will be talking about lately, I mean it's quite in line. If you look at what we offer at IGCSE, we do have the same kind of languages and other subjects even in the TP program. Group 4, humanities, look at the variety of subjects we have is history, business studies, global perspectives and economics. I forgot to mention one thing is like word languages. When we talk about the word languages, we do not expect the student to have prior knowledge or prior understanding of the subject. So we start from scratch. So there's no prerequisite attached to any of the subjects. They can start from scratch. Yeah. Group 5 sciences, we have variety. Biology, chemistry, physics, these are 4 sciences we offer at the extended level. And then we have environmental management for those students who really struggle and don't want to pursue core sciences in the future. So we have environmental management plugged in there. Then we have group 6, which is arts and IT, and we have a variety. Music, drama, computer science, and arts and design. So if you look at all the 6 groups, you might be able to see, and I'm going back to again what Steve has already mentioned, that we prepare our student very holistically, right? So we expect the students to choose from different options, from all the groups, all the subject groups, so that they have variety of subjects which they learn and develop, and then further take it forward when it comes to the IB. Yeah? Okay. So that's all about it, and I'm not going to talk about subject selection because that is something, how do we select the subjects is something we will talk once you come back at a later time, So over to Mr.
So just in continuation with what just has just mentioned, it's like the IBTB program is a school transition from grade 9, 10 to grade 11, and all the teachers and all the whole school is working towards helping the students move through this smooth transition of understanding, changing of subjects, and most important, moving from the level of approach to the subject to the aptitude to the subjects. So we do definitely take care, and also being the college counselors, I think we are always helping the students right from grade 9 onwards to talk to them, have a conversation with them to make a better choice of subjects based on their interest, passion. That's what we focus on, as well as to a bit of the ability for a particular subject. So for us, it's very, very important at OIS that we are monitoring the students' progression from grade 9, 10, 11 and 12, because we believe that's the core for a student to make another step outside school for university applications, and the high school education does become important. So that's the main factor that we are concentrating as teachers as well. So moving on to the smooth transitions from grade 10 after the IGCSE, we have the diploma program that is offered at OIS. It does resonate the same understanding. It does highlight a lot of common factors that the IGCSE also says about the subjects that Mr. Judge just mentioned, and definitely to an extent it is also an overlap of subjects. But does that mean that the students need to take the subjects what they have taken in grade 9 and 10 should be a continuation of it to grade 11 and 12? We believe we want to encourage our students to be explorers, and to do that we want the students to also make an effort to be risk takers and to learn a bit from everything to make the student a holistic person to to sustain in the wide world. So I think we do not compel students over here to take the same subjects that they have taken from grade 9 to 10, but we would definitely encourage them to explore a bit. Format is almost the same, of course. It does have 6 subjects to study for 2 years. There are 2 levels of subjects, 2 levels that they need to study. One is the high level and the other is the standard level. The only difference is the student is investing more time in the HL subjects because it's taught for 240 hours and the SL subjects are taught for 150 hours. But the content is almost to an extent the same, apart from the HL students who will be doing a bit of rigor for the subject in terms of units or lessons. When we are concentrating on the 6 subjects, for us it's more important that the student is working towards the internal core as well as the understanding and the international mindedness that the program offers. So for us, this is the most important focus that makes the diploma a full diploma, which is called the core or the heart of the program is the extend essay. CAS, that's creativity, activity and service, and the other is the theory of knowledge. So all these components make the student more critical thinker, and I think able to utilize these skills to the above subjects, because we believe in interdisciplinary teaching. So it's not, the subjects are not left standalone being taught or learned in school, but they are connected in every possible way that we could organize for. So the IB diploma allows the students to take, and so does the school offer it in the same manner. The student needs to take the subjects, 1 subject per group, that's 1 to 6, but the 6th group is still an option because it's arts. So if the student is not open to the group 6, he can take a group 4 or 5. But we still encourage, and we feel that a group 6 is something that a student would, if the student is open-minded, it's definitely going to make a lot of difference if he takes the subject. So, as it was informed earlier, so I'm just unfolding the format of the diploma scores. So basically the format of the score is, it's a total of 45, but a total of 6 subjects, if out of 7 would give a 42, and 3 points are for the core. Now the 3 points are very, very important as a core, because even if we gain a 42 here, and if we are unable to get anything here, unfortunately, the student is not going to get the full diploma. But that's why we are concentrating on the core subjects as well. We need to have the CAS as a satisfied factor, because it doesn't have a grade, but it still needs to be done. The student needs to be involved in this CAS activity at the day the student is registered for the program. So it's an 18-month program that the student needs to finish from start of grade 11 to the mid grade 12. And it's a wonderful program because that's also an area where the student is not doing anything with academics, but out in the fields, out in the art rooms, out in various other environments like the NGOs, exploring and having fun, simultaneously learning a lot of things. Basically, most importantly, life skills, which I think we also need to, impart. The rest of the things follow as it is, and as Mrs. Stephen just mentioned, it resonates the same understanding that it is a diploma of 45, but the student can still get away with 24. But there's a minimum of a 12 for HL and a 9 for SL, and not more than two in a subject in the total. So as a school, what do we offer? I think every year we review the cycle, and we do have students who come and speak to us about the various options that they would like to look for a course outside of OIS or in the universities, and they really are talking with Ms. Tiffany and me most of the time. So we do keep the options open, and as and when, if there's a probability, we do have subjects added to our list. So as of now, currently, we are offering these following subjects. So do I read it, or I think I'll give you a moment to. psychology is a subject that we added last year, and that was students who actually initiated it and showed interest. And I'm happy to say that we have 18 students enrolled this year on that. So this was the IB diploma, and just to add on, every student who is admitted at OIS at high school or is with us in high school still needs to finish the grade 9, 10, 11 and 12 with the requirements of the OIS high school diploma, because we also run an in-house program which at the end gives a student a certificate gives a diploma certificate. So the student needs, there is an expectation for the student to minimum complete 24 credits for our high school diploma with passing in all the subjects throughout grade 9, 10 and 11 as well as 12, because the OIS diploma is a high school diploma, and since we are being accredited by the two important facts, this diploma becomes more important in high schools as well as recognized with many universities in US. Some of the universities have shown recognition in UK, and it is a good news that India has also started recognizing the OIS high school diploma with the IB diploma. So just to move on, there are a possibility of us, giving different formats or offering the OIS diploma or grade 11 and 12 education at OIS in 3 different ways. And I know it might be too much right now for us to understand, but the fact remains the same. Even if the student moves to do the whole IB diploma with the OIS, they still need to finish the mandatory high school diploma, because that's what would also be a requirement for the applications to the universities. Apart from that, there is a relaxation for the student in grade 10 if the student is not so sure and not ready to take the OIS IB full diploma. We still are ready to offer the student a course and get the student with the OIS diploma and the course IB. So these are 3 various options. They're just options. It's the student who makes the choices and selections, and at times if there is any kind of need for teachers to intervene and help the student make the choice, we also help the student to make these choices. But I think the IB diploma is quite popular and students end up finishing that.
The majority of kids graduate with both, right? They end up having the OIS diploma and the IB diploma. They get both. But the IB diploma is based on whether or not you pass a bunch of exams that you take in May. And we don't find out until the kids have already left our school what those scores were, because they've already left. So if you don't get the IB diploma, you might leave. If we didn't offer the OIS diploma, you would leave with nothing, right? And that makes us nervous. So that's why we have an OIS diploma, is that if you totally skunk the exams for IB, at least you'll have an OIS diploma. And I don't mean to make that sound like it's a negative thing. It's nice to have both, that's all I'm saying. But if something were to happen and you don't get the IB diploma, you have the OIS diploma. And because we're accredited, that's accepted worldwide. Does that make sense? If we weren't accredited, it would just be a piece of paper. But because we're accredited, it means a lot. So it's just a safety net, if that makes sense. And again, most kids leave with both, which is kind of nice. Most of them, little boys. Oh, me. All right. Yeah, I'm all right. My fingers all red. I just wanted to talk for a couple minutes about our university counseling program. We start working with kids in grade 9, talking about strengths and weaknesses and their interests. Some kids are really focused and they know exactly what they want to do. And some kids sort of have a general idea, and some kids are all over the place, which is kind of exciting because they have so many varied interests that they could really go in any direction. You'll notice I keep using the word kids, because that's who I work with. I meet with parents, I have meetings with big parents, I meet with parents individually, but this really, from our point of view, is a path that the kids are in control of. And that is something that we need our parents to understand. And that's a big change for some parents. Most of you are totally on board and you get it and you understand that this is a kid's journey, and we're all here to support them. But every once in a while, I get parents who are a little surprised that I work so closely with the kids and not so closely with parents, if that makes any sense. So that's why I wanted to sort of interject here. The biggest thing for us is to find universities that are the best fit for the kids, right? It would be like, what is the best car? And all of our needs are very different, right? Steve and I have a 2-year-old, so we're worried about safety. We want something that we can put a seat in the back and strap him in, and it's built like a tank, right? I'm assuming that you would want something very different, right? You'd probably want something a little red, sporty, convertible, right? That you could zoom through the traffic. So you can't really say what the best car is, and I can't choose a car for you because I don't know all of your needs. And to me, that's how university is. There's lots of really great experiences out there, but we need the kids to know what their options are so that they can choose what the right fit is. So yeah, we have to make sure that the universities have the programs that they want to have, but we also need to look at weather, right? Do you want snow or do you not want snow, right? We have to figure out how far away from home we want to be. We have to figure out cost, because some give a lot of scholarships and some don't. We have to figure out location. Maybe Aunt Mary lives in New Jersey, and so that makes it a little easier to send your baby so far away. So we talk about all those kinds of things, and we find out what the kids' criteria are. And parents weigh in, especially on price and distance and things like that. But we train the students how to do their search. And we're here to hold their hand along the way, of course, in case they get lost, because it's a scary experience. But for the most part, we want them to understand what goes into choosing university so they can make the right decisions. It was really exciting when we had PTMs a couple weeks ago because we had parents come in and they kept wanting to ask us questions, and the students that were sitting there kept interjecting because they knew the answers. And to us, that's the best, right, is when we've trained the next group how to do this well enough so that they can answer their parents' questions. We have tons of universities come and visit. It is October 20 whatever, and we've had 146 universities come so far this year, just in a little over 2 months. They come at lunch, they meet with students. I let the kids know who's coming to visit and connect them the best that I can, and then if the kids are interested, they come in at lunch and they chat with the university representatives. We also have a bunch of master classes that happen. So professors or university reps come in either during class time, during lunch, or after school, and they run classes. So sometimes it's on things like